just have some thoughts that I've been wanting to share. So, over these past few months, I keep being reminded about the prophecy how men's hearts will fail them in the last days. And with the constant bad news, I truly feel that. I often feel my heart failing me, and it just feels like I'm stuck in a dystopian novel and I can't get out, and it just seems so unbelievable and a lot of times unbearable. And some days I feel fine and I can do life normally, and then other times I just feel so overwhelmed with the negative and the turmoil that the world is in right now. And I usually try to look on the bright side and stay positive, and trying to focus more on gratitude and have a grateful heart. That has really helped a lot. But there are still days when it just feels overwhelming, and I can feel that fear gripping my heart and threatening to take over. And this last time that we had, that the lockdown was announced a month ago, I felt that pretty strong, and it was really hard for me, and I think more so than the first time. And I just felt overwhelming sadness and grief, and it was hard to see any hope and any light. And Mark just reminded me, like, you need to have faith, and I just knew that I needed to feel peace, and that if I could just feel some peace, that hope would come, and I could feel my faith returning. That there are good things ahead, which we have been told that there's wonderful things ahead for us. But in those moments, it's hard to come out to see that. And so anyway, I was having one of those moments, and I just knew that I needed to really to feel peace. And so I knew that I needed to go to the one place where I can always find peace, and that's in the scriptures. And so I opened up my scriptures, Moroni chapter 8, verse 16 to 17 in the Book of Mormon. And it says, "Woe be unto them that shall pervert the ways of the Lord after this manner, for they shall perish except they repent. Behold, I speak with boldness, having authority from God, and I fear not what man can do, for perfect love casteth out all fear. And I am filled with charity. Wherefore all children are alike unto me, wherefore I love little children with a perfect love, and they are all alike and partakers of salvation." As soon as I read that, I felt that peace that I was yearning for enter my heart, and I knew that God was mindful of my situation, and I knew that He was telling me not to fear, but to be filled with charity. And charity is the pure love of Christ. And when we feel God's love, we have faith in Him. And we have faith in His plan and in His timing. And we are choosing to trust and to trust in Him and allow Him to take the wheel and to guide us to safety. And that's truly what I needed to hear at that time, and it gave me the comfort that I needed. And I'm so grateful for that, to be able to hear God's voice through the scriptures. They are so powerful, and it was exactly what I needed at the right moment. That's happened to me many times. It's not a one-time thing, but every time it does, I'm just amazed at the answers that I'm able to receive and the love that I feel from God. Fear doesn't come from God. And so when I truly submit my will to God and turn things over to Him, I know that I'm able to get through anything. So I've also been reading this book, The Second Coming of the Lord, by Elder Lund. And there was this one part in it that really stood out to me, and I just want to share it. God is at the helm. He says, "While serving as a General Authority 70, I had one of those unexpected teaching moments. that life presents to us. This is when the financial crash was in full swing and our country was experiencing the most drastic drop in the economy since the Great Depression. Every day there was new announcements. The stock market crashed, the collapse of the housing market, major banks, mortgage companies, retirement funds, and investment houses were failing. There was talk of massive government bailouts. Unemployment was skyrocketing. A dark cloud had settled over the country and was spreading to other nations. Sounds really familiar. In the fall of 2007, my assignment as a General Authority 70 was in Salt Lake City working in the church office building. One day I went down to a small cafeteria in the basement of the church administration building that is reserved for general authorities. After getting my food, I saw that 4 of my colleagues in the 70 were seated at a table for 6 just starting to eat. They invited me to join them. We spoke briefly about our various assignments, but soon the talk turned to the current financial crisis. It didn't take long for our conversation to become quite bleak in tone. One of the brethren had a grandchild who had recently graduated with an MBA but was having no luck in finding employment. Another reported that a grandchild was unsure about wanting to get married and bring children into the world. About that time, as this cloud of gloom settled over our lunch table, Russell M. Nelson, then Elder Nelson of the 12, came into the lunchroom with a tray of food. Seeing that we had a vacant spot at our table, he joined us. He ate quietly for a time as our conversation went right on in that same sense of discouragement. Finally, one of the brethren said, "They're talking about the possibility of the whole government of the United States failing. Then what shall we do?" Elder Nelson, who hadn't said much since sitting down, laid down his fork and looked at us directly. His expression was very sober as he spoke quietly, saying something like this: "Brethren, the Lord chose the United States of America as a place for the restoration of the gospel in our dispensation. He did that so that we would have a base of religious freedom that would sustain the work of the restoration. Also, the financial affluence and the political stability of the United States makes it possible for our church to take the gospel to the world. That is a task that is not yet finished. Brethren, the Lord is at the helm. He will not let the work fail." That was more than 10 years ago, but I still vividly remember 2 things. First, how sheepish we felt for letting ourselves become so negative, and the second was the lesson taught. God is in control. Why then do we fear? It was a profound teaching moment, and I reminded myself of that day often when I have found myself growing discouraged and pessimistic. God is at the helm. I really like that, and it's just been a really good reminder to me that God is at the helm, that He's in charge, and that when we remember that and we put our trust in Him, we will see our faith strengthen and our fear melt away. And I'm so grateful to know this and to be reminded of it often.